We've had enough.
Wokeness makes a very strong claim with regard to inequality. Wokeness claims that all inequality in life is evidence of inequity. Now, this is a semantic trick, right? You understand that they're taking the word equality and then they're taking the word equity, and they are hoping that you noticed that a syllable just went missing there. And that when they say inequality and inequity, what you really think is, okay, well, equity is a good thing. And so if something is unequal, that means it's not equity. Okay, these words have completely different meanings. Okay, if something is unequal, this does not imply that something unfair happened. If you worked hard for your pay today and somebody else did not work hard for their pay today, you received unequal wages. This does not mean that some deep, abiding unfairness has taken place. But nonetheless, they have to make this case that all inequality throughout society is evidence of inequity. To reach this stunningly idiotic conclusion, they employ the following argument. They begin with, all people are created equal. Not in their rights. All people are created equal. You are equal to the person sitting next to you in every conceivable way. Thus, if you are equal to the people sitting next to you in every conceivable way, any groups are equal in any conceivable way. Because again, if you are all exactly the same, doesn't matter how I divvy up the room, any group is going to be the same as any other group. Thus, all disparate results between groups can only be due to either natural differences or discrimination. But it can't be natural differences because you're exactly the same as the person sitting next to you. So it must be discrimination. Right? So that's the sort of idiotic syllogistic logic that's being used here. Now, the problem is that pretty much every single one of these premises is false. Now, unless you think that I'm exaggerating the case, that I'm just making up what the wokes say about this, they say it right out. It's not like they're hiding the ball here. Ibram X. Kendi, who for some odd reason has been hailed as some sort of intellectual giant, when the man has intellectual wattage that, if translated to electric capacity, might be able to toast a piece of bread lightly. Ibram X. Kendi argues, quote, as an anti-racist, when I see racial disparities, I see racism. Any racial disparities, this means racism. This also means, as the Smithsonian Institute's National Museum of African American History and Culture proposes, that inequality exists, and thus, all racial groups struggle under white supremacy. Now, again, every single one of the premises that we just discussed is false. All people are not created equal in every single way. We are created equal in the sight of God. That means that we have individual rights before God. Amen. That does not mean that you are equal to the person sitting next to you in any sort of capacity. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But I would guess that in most capacities of life, you are very different than the person who is sitting next to you. You have different skill sets. You have different innate qualities. You've grown up differently. You make different choices.
And that's a beautiful thing, y'all. Absolutely okay to be different. That's what makes the world go round, that we all bring something very unique, perspective, skill sets, like he said, to the table. We don't all want to be the same. It'd be just robotic and boring and very bland on a day-to-day basis. God created us exactly how he wanted us to be. And the Almighty don't make mistakes. You're either male or female. I know that's a discussion for a different video, but I have to get it in when I can because some people not paying attention, their perception isn't based in reality. Just because you want it to be a certain way doesn't mean that's the way that life actually functions. You got to deal with the way the cookie crumbles, exactly everything that you're given on a day-to-day basis, handle it as it comes, go through those ceilings and those obstacles as they present themselves. But just because we don't look the same, just because we might not speak the same language, or you might be a female while I'm a male, that doesn't mean that it's not okay. That doesn't mean that the world can't keep on pushing forward. Progress in the wrong direction isn't progress at all. So the things that people are trying to push today, complete garbage, not moving us in a direction towards elevating society in a positive direction. They keep on trying to change things so much that we're deteriorating and degrading and going down in some very slippery slopes that the Almighty definitely don't want us to go down. We need to live in truth. In reality, there is no truth without God. So Ben always telling it like it is. I love it.
Secondly, if all of us are different, this means that not all groups are going to be equal. Any two groups anywhere are going to have different characteristics. If I took a line and I split this room, this half and this half, there would be different average characteristics in this half of the room versus that half of the room. That is just a statistical reality. On average, groups are different. Finally, differences between groups could be due to natural differences, i.e., if you take a group and they are very old, they're going to have natural differences with a group that's very young. So for example, if you look at income statistics, very often you'll see certain groups compared to other groups in terms of income. Well, what if the average age of one group is very different than the average age of another group? That happens to be the case in the United States, by the way, between black and white. The average age of white Americans is closer to 60. The average age of black Americans is closer to 25. And what does that mean? It means that on a wealth level, you would expect older people to have more wealth. They've had a lifetime of accruing wealth. So you have to adjust for age if you actually wish to even out the stats, for example. Okay, this is true with every group. Men and women have very different innate qualities. I know I hate to break that to the left. Men and women, very different. Stuff we've known since we were small children and then had to unlearn because our college professors are largely idiots.
Spot on. Now, after you take a step back and diagnose what Mr. Shapiro just said, nailed it, in my opinion. You may disagree, but you would think this would be entry-level, basic knowledge, common sense, something that used to be very frequent to possess and to stumble across. You'd see somebody walking the streets and you'd just be like, oh, light bulb, this is the way it is. That's just how it is. That's no need to argue about it. No need to explain and dissect and have discussions and full-on speeches about it. But in this day and age, you got to walk almost everybody through it, step by step, guide them right along with the basics with these college students. Okay, now class, the earth revolves around the sun. There's only two genders, male and female. You can't change that up. You can chop off and play dress up all you want, but that's the way that life goes. And the directions are north, south, east, and west. Y'all got it now? But no, that's not enough. Everything now has to be wokety woke, and there has to be a victim oppressive mindset, all this propaganda about, oh, we're all supposed to be equal and you're just supposed to get handouts. The world owes you something based on your pigmentation or lack thereof. But that's just not the way it is. Biology is not bigotry. Don't get the two confused. We're not supposed to all be the same. And that is all right, y'all. That is completely acceptable. And people need to get a grip on that fact. And you know what it comes down to? It comes down to what you earn. It comes down to your discipline level or lack thereof. And that's what it comes down to. That's the only factor that matters about what job you get or what school you get into. And I'm so glad that affirmative action is done within the school system. I pray that it stays that way. And I do pray for these kids and a whole lot more people to start really waking up and living in reality. Not just these woke ideologies, not these false narratives, this facade about what life is supposed to be like and how you want it to be. So the world's just supposed to go along with it in every way you feel, all your pronouns. And no. Life is hard. Life is going to be difficult or easy for different people based on whatever it may be. But God gives his toughest challenges to his toughest soldiers. When you've turned to him, when you've accepted Christ as Lord and Savior, and you've repented from those wicked ways. Now, again, life is not going to be sunshine and roses. You're going to be persecuted if you follow Jesus Christ. You're going to stumble along the way, but you learn from those. You grow through what you go through. Stop looking at situations as though somebody's holding you down because you're black or white or Mexican or this, that, and the third. Wipe that sleep out of your eyes. Stop being woke as far as the world is concerned and start lifting up your communities and being a light in these dark times instead of whining and crying and complaining about everything you don't got. This is the only country, the United States of America, where your mom could literally abandon you at birth. You could grow up in foster care and be tossed around as a child. Yet if you make the right decisions and disciplines and consistency and work hard, you could end up a billionaire by age 25. It all comes down to the individual. I don't know why people don't want to attain to that. I don't know why everybody wants this little handout, these welfare checks and all this, just victimhood state of mind. Why don't you wake up and go work hard for the things you want and go earn the lifestyle that you say you want for your family instead of somebody giving it to you? It just feels so much better when you can have, dignity and pride in your work. And I'm not talking about pride in a sinful way. I'm talking about taking honest appreciation in the things that you've worked for, that God has put in your path and sculpted your way to achieve some success. Now, I'm not saying success is riches and fame and notoriety and all that. You can be successful just looked at as a positive example in your community. You don't have to have money because at the end of the day, you can't take any of that stuff with you. But whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, you go out there and make them happen. Don't wait on anybody else to give them to you. All this gaslighting that's going on, pay it no mind. And if you can't spot it, you need to surround yourself with some wise counsel, develop some discernment, lean into the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth so you can examine every situation from a biblical perspective. The foundation of right and wrong, moral values, everything that amounts to real freedom is found in that Bible. That Jesus's words and Old to New Testament, everything in there, that'll get you right. That's what you need to lean on. Don't lean into the media. Don't lean into these social media influencers. Lean into God. Allow Jesus Christ to guide your steps. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. Stop trying to figure it out on your own, and stop thinking that equality and equity are the same thing. If you didn't put in the grind time that the next man or woman did, you shouldn't get the same results as the next man or woman. You're not going to get the same results and rewards and affirmations and things like that. And you shouldn't. Everybody should be able to earn their way in this world, which in the United States, thank God, we're afforded those rights. And if you don't, you don't. Don't expect anything else out of that. If you don't want to be rich and famous, if you don't want to have some notoriety, if you don't want to have whatever the dream is that, other people may attain to, that's okay. But don't try to point the blame at people or point the blame at skin tone and say there's white supremacy and this, that, and the third, all these excuses under the sun. Tuck them into bed and live your life. But really, I'm going to wrap it up now because I could get into a long tangent. As many of y'all know, God bless Ben Shapiro. God bless America, our founding fathers, our Constitution. Pray for everybody in this world that they cling to truth, that they cling to love. Love and truth, they go together. So sometimes it means calling out sin when you see it, calling out falsehoods when you see them, and guiding them and directing them to the only thing that matters at the end of the day, the kingdom. You could look right, you could look left, you could look black and white and all this of this world thinking. But if you're not focused above on the kingdom, on having eternal salvation, which can only be found in Jesus Christ, the Son, you're doing it all wrong. You're paying all this attention to things that will amount to nothing, literally nothing. You can't strap a U-Haul to a hearse, and we're all, no matter how you view the world or where you're at currently in life, what position on the totem pole in society you're at, we're on this side of the grass one time. So you better do things the right way and start putting your eggs in the right basket and living in righteousness. But I love y'all. That's all I got. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Let's keep this conversation rolling. Don't forget to like this video by smashing the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe if you're not already. Ring the notification bell so you get notified anytime I post a video, just in case YouTube forgets to let you know. I appreciate you. I love y'all for doing so. If you want to take it a step further, you like what we're doing over here, you want to show a little extra love and support, by no means do you have to, but you can get awesome designs like this Godfidence, knowing I can't, but he can. These designs are made over my wife's Etsy store by her, customized in-house, all of that. Insulated tumblers, petite teat, small sizes to big and hefty for the 5X folks out there. All different sizes and colors. Like I said, we don't discriminate. We appreciate y'all. It goes a very long way in allowing me to continue to do what I do. All my other links are down below in the description section. Shout out to the Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee fam. Anybody who's ever joined the Gibson family on YouTube by hitting that little join button and becoming a member, I'm so grateful for y'all. I can't thank you enough and put into words and context just how appreciative I am for you guys showing up every single video and allowing my freckle face to rant at you. I just love y'all so much, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'll be praying for you. Until next time, Godspeed. I'm gone.